All right. Thank you. Welcome to the Rotated Views podcast. I'm Jimmylee Velez, your host. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, and Heck. And today's theme is the grass greener? And I'm going to start out, as usual, with a quick story. There was a little girl who looked out the window from her bedroom and noticed a golden home in the far distance. It was glowing among all other houses. She imagined it to be gorgeous inside, so she quickly asked her mother if she can visit this glittering estate. Her mother told her she was not old enough to make the trip by herself, and it was dangerously too far, and her mom didn't have time to take her. Days, even years passed by, and the little girl looked out of her window, yearning to experience visiting this glorious golden home. Finally, one day, years later, she had the guts to ask her mother about visiting the golden house. After a few warnings, her mother agreed and allowed her to experience the pilgrimage. The little girl grabbed her bike in full excitement and embarked on a journey to visiting the golden home. As she was riding her bike, she couldn't believe the day was finally here, her childhood dream come true. As she approached the home, she noticed something odd. The house was glowing, but it was very small in size and really appeared to be just a shack. Then her heart dropped as she realized it was an abandoned shack. The one side of the shack had a wall of mirrors. The mirrors on the shack were reflecting the glow of the sun. Extremely disappointed, this girl realizes all these years this golden home was really an abandoned shack with mirrors on it. She turns around to go home and notices the sun setting on her house sitting at the top of the mountain. She realizes how beautiful her own home is and how fortunate she is to have such an amazing place to reside at. The little girl rides back home with a beaming, much more appreciative, golden smile. So, there you have it. That's the grass is greener kind of story, which is kind of funny. I actually read that somewhere, and I kind of expanded on it because it was a much longer version of that story. But it's interesting because I actually think that's a perfect way to describe the grass is greener, right? We make all these assumptions of how great and quote unquote glorious something is in our minds, and this little girl here, she is thinking it's this golden house, and she goes and it's just an abandoned shack with mirrors on it. I mean, how funny! How ironic and kind of funny that is. Kind of sad because it crushed her dreams.
But yeah, I guess that's the basics of grass is always greener, is that the thought of something is always better than the reality of it.
Absolutely. I think we even do this too. I mean, when we have like an idol pass or something like that, it's like later on they're 10 times more glorified, and then you start, because there's nothing to interfere, there's no imperfection to interfere with that your memory is so perfect that it's almost like you put them now on this new pedestal that they weren't on when they were here alive and thriving, but all you remember is just all these great moments, and all of a sudden they're larger than life for some odd reason. It even goes to the value of them goes up, even when in sports, if someone were to pass away or something, if you have like this guy's jersey or his playing card or something, the value of it skyrockets.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I just think that is kind of crazy that we put these beliefs and thoughts on things.
Yeah, because even like they always say, like, especially going off the idol thing, is that they always say never meet your idols because it's usually it never lives up to what you're expecting. Exactly.
Yeah, how many times you've seen that where you see this little kid, he's like, oh look, there's the famous skater, and they go up to him and he's like totally ignores him, doesn't even want to sign a skateboard or right. Stuff like that, and the little kid's like all
they try to charge you for it, or
yeah.
You have $10. Yeah. But no, it's true though. Well, the other thing too, you also have to put give credit to, when we're talking about human beings, they're probably exhausted, they're tired, they've been shaking everyone's hands, and it kind of stinks because they can't have that intimate greeting with every single people if there's thousands of folks in line, right? I mean, so that is kind of tough, but still at the same time, man, we blow things up in our minds. I think that they even say that even goes along with the lines of fear, right? I mean, it's just it's not true. It's like kind of like we made this thing up. We haven't even experienced certain things. As a kid, you're scared of the boogeyman underneath your bed. right? And it's just this explosive thought that's in our minds.
Yeah, because it's the opposite of like you said, the fear part of it. It's like you're building something so much in a positive way that when that doesn't come true, it deflates you.
Yeah, I mean, Goose, hasn't this happened kind of to you? Or they say this happens to when you reach, not to put a damper on people trying to attain goals or anything, but they say sometimes when you reach, when it's materialistic, I should say, you've been, all these years wanting a specific car or a watch, and then when you finally get it, you're like, it's just this 4 wheels with a stick shift,
It actually all becomes like the same thing, like having like my first car, 81 Toyota Corolla, and now having like more of a higher end car. It's exciting the first day or two, then it just goes away and you start realizing it's just a car. It gets you from point A to point B, and it's like nothing that like...
But in your mind, when you didn't have that car, that's all you wanted.
Yeah, you thought you were the man. You thought that's all I wanted. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. People are going to look at me. People are going to... And it's just like not even exactly like it was. Like what I envisioned and like what I imagined. And
yeah, I mean, I'm sure... And on top of that, there's pockets of excitement, like like a Saturday afternoon, you clean the car, it's all fresh, and you have those pockets of oh man, I'm so glad I got this. Go downtown, go to a restaurant or something like that. But it's true, it's not like the everyday. When you don't have it, you think about that thing every day. So when you have it, it's kind of just like
same thing like with watches. You have like a high-end watch you rock, and you get just as many compliments as a regular lower like $100 watch that you would with like a higher like end watch. It's all like the hype on I gotta have this. Like, well, for me, I'm that type of person. I want it, so I strive for it. I get it, and all of a sudden, like after a while, the hype fades away, and it's just like the same old thing.
Exactly, and it's like it's the idea of something shiny and brand new that after a while is just normal. So it's it's that
and all that shiny stuff fades away just like everything else.
Or the other thing for me was like, I know one of my goals was I could not wait to get a house. Like, okay, I want a house. I need a house. Like, I want to have my own, place, my own resident, whatever. And there was a specific house that I wanted. The thing with first-time home buyers will quickly realize is the investment is one thing. So obviously you have like your mortgage and stuff. I'm not even talking about that. I was asking for this house, right? But when I guess when we're dream building, or we got to be more specific, because I got this house, but I ended up getting a fixer upper because that was in our range. But then you start to like, man, this is what I wanted every single day after work. I was coming here, spackling, putting up drywall, taking out demo and all this stuff, and it's like, this is what I was dying to have. Not to say that I'm not being appreciative or anything, but it's funny, like the instant the reality hits, you're like, okay, I have it. The keys are in my hands, and you're all excited. We go celebrate, and you come back, and the next day is like, all right, well, there's work has to be done before you even move into this place. More of an investment comes in, and I think the first time we paid, or like our first month we paid, we weren't even in the house yet. So then that's when it really, I'm like, all right, that's it. We're paying. We're moving in. But it's funny because I think it was just that initial thing. Now that everything for us is fixed, now it makes sense to me. He's like, yeah, this is what I want. I enjoy my house now. But it was like that initial sting. It was like, oh man, that's what you asked for, bud. That's what you got. Be careful what you ask for. That little girl, man, driving down to her dream home, right? The golden home, and all it was the reflection of the sun hitting a bunch of little mirrors, and it was a shack. You talk about, that's depressing, dude. You lived this up. She was asking her mom since she was a little girl to go see this thing, and what the story made me think was like the mom knew, but maybe she wasn't ready to learn that lesson just yet, so she kind of held her off. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, the grass is always greener, but I don't think she's ready for all that, for her little heart to get crushed. So she allowed this, I guess, dream or image of quote unquote the golden house, build up as we do with many things that we want in life. Do you guys? Is there anything like being a parent, have your kids, or being a kid? Asking your mom or your dad, whatever, your guardian, asking for things that their friends have, or wanting to live with their friends because they think it's better, or it's better than what they have at the moment.
On a like somewhat different level, I was always growing up like for summertime, like one of my mom's friends like babysat us. Like me growing up, I was a Nintendo kid and he was like the Sega kid, so like we always brought like video games over, but like since I didn't have the Sega, I always wanted to play like Sonic and all the games he had, and he was always like, he hogged it anyway because it was obviously his. But yeah, that was always like, I always liked that, but it's like even going back now, like since I am like still a gamer still today, is like going back, some of those games were terrible at this point, but it's like just the fact that I didn't have it is like, oh, I always wanted to play those games just because I didn't own them.
Right. I know for me, growing up, there's a couple people that I knew who were, they were the only child, right? So, and in my mind, I'm like, man, they get all the attention. They get, the Christmas has to be crazy. Like, all this stuff. I built the same thing. I'm like, why, why wasn't I an only child, man? And meanwhile, first of all, I got spoiled as a kid. Well, for the most part, I was a baby. I was 4 years later after Heck. So, I was still kind of, in my own little world per se. But, these people, after you talk to them, they're like, yeah, well, you had someone to hang out with all the time. I didn't. You got to have those pillow fights late night. You got to play against someone when it came to video games or whatever. You didn't just open up your presents, solo and by yourself or whatever. When you're ticked off at your parents or whatever, you didn't have no one to talk to. And they're saying all these things. I'm like, well, I'm glad I have brothers then, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you got that perspective. Meanwhile, on the other hand, though, they're saying, oh, well, I wish I had brothers or siblings or whatever.
Somebody to share this experience with, or always have somebody just around to be with you.
Yeah, I mean, all of us had siblings, so I wish we had someone here that could speak for, like, the only child thing. And obviously there's, huge benefits or whatever. That's not to take away from anyone's childhood. It is what it is, and that's our experiences, and I feel like that's what it's meant to be anyway, and it develops the people that we are today.
That's what you learn from, like,
absolutely. It's great. Yeah, well, I was just saying, as a kid, for some reason I wanted to see what was it like to be an only child. I don't know why, but so do you guys think focusing on things we don't have, are you setting yourself up for failure? Because sometimes I guess the sentiment really is the grass is never greener, because we've worked it out so much, which I'm kind of in between. Sometimes the grass might be greener, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to, strive for all the time. Where to me, that's being kind of like an ungrateful person. And I once heard, if the grass is greener, dude, throw seeds down on your lawn, right? Make your grass greener, right? Go after for whatever it is that you want. Make it happen in your life instead of constantly wanting someone else's life. So I don't know if it's necessarily setting yourself up for failure or a recipe for disaster, but I kind of do understand the question in the sense that your expectations of something are far different from reality.
Yeah, because I was thinking it kind of breeds a mentality of like discontent, where you're always striving for something else, like always that new and better thing, which is like, that's where like leasing your car and stuff comes into play. It was like one of my family members does that. Like they used to always get brand new cars every couple years, and it's like they always needed the brand new car, and it's like, so even when they bought a car, they still had that same mentality. So they would want to, adding on to more of the car payment and stuff, because they're still used to the lease, and I'm sick of this car now, so I have to turn it in. But then you start piling more and more stuff on top of it.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that. When it comes to the cell phones, I think every year I have to go out and get a new phone for whatever reason, because it's the same old nonsense. A phone's a phone. You can get online. You can do whatever you got to do with it. But it's just, the number. Okay, so you get the 6, you get the 7, you get the 8, get the 9, get the 10. Like, what's the difference? And after that, I get fed up with the phone after the 6 months, and it's like, wow.
Now you gotta
I
keep
just
it
went out of my way to get the latest and greatest, and now I'm sick of it within 6 months. So now I got to hold on to another 6 months before I go out and get it. But no matter what, I still always want it. Like, I know it's gonna be the same nonsense.
Aren't all IT guys that way though?
Yeah. But I mean, and that's the problem with technology in general, is that like by the time you buy it, it's obsolete anyway. So there's always something, especially specifically with phones and computers.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's always the best thing is literally always around the corner, because there's always something better that can be added to whatever the current technology. And the fact that all this stuff, because obviously Heck can attest to that, for like you deal a lot more specifically with computers and everything, is that there's always constant updates of like chipsets and memory sizes and all that stuff. It's like that no matter what, like, so you'll
never be up to date.
No, exactly.
Even with like schooling for you guys, right? I mean, it's since the technology is always changing, you have to learn new stuff.
Classes after class. Like right now, my job, they give us courses, and it's like simple courses that we could take that'll put on our backgrounds, and it's like every month it's like, oh well, we got this now coming out, and it's like the update at point 2, and it's like, so what's the difference? And you read on, and you're like, oh, so they did this.
It's a revolving door.
Yeah, it's simple, but I think it's a never ending.
And it's always having to constantly contour, even if it's like minor changes, it's still something different you have to deal with. And it's even like just at work today, we had like the brand new update for our electronic medical system. It's like functions the same, but like there's random like weird, stuff's in random weird spots that you have to like figure out again. And
right.
So it throws you off. So it's like if you're always constantly striving for something new, you're gonna constantly be doing that anyway. So it's like
it's exhausting too.
Exactly.
It's so exhausting. Well, I was looking for a book here. I think it's called I Will. I've read this probably like 4 years ago by Ben Swineland or something like that. But it was funny where you're talking about this discontent. He writes a chapter in there called Happy Discontent, and it always stuck with me. And in fact, that's probably one of the only things that stuck with me out of that book. But this chapter called Happy Discontent, it kind of put it all together for me, because for a dreamer like myself, people will kind of say, it's like, dude, you're always after something. You're constantly going for striving. And for me, as you guys know, what like my motto is become the best version of myself, become a better version. That's all that I'm doing. It's not that I'm not happy with what I have. It's what this author was saying. It's a happy discontent. I'm happy with what I have, but I'm discontent in a way that I'm hungry still. I'm hungry for more. And I feel like you have to have that. It's a healthy appetite to create a better reality for yourself. There's also a difference between wanting something that's going to help you or improve yourself for you, and or wanting something that someone has just because they have it.
Yeah. Well, my daughter, for her birthday, she says, I want an iPad. And we're like, well, Christmas just passed.
All right, hold on. How old's your daughter?
My daughter is 11. Okay. She just turned 11 on her birthday.
All right, so we're talking about an 11-year-old here.
An 11-year-old.
They're expensive now, man.
She tells me she wants an iPad. So my wife and I look at each other. We're like, we just had Christmas. What does that even mean? You want an iPad? And I'm like, you have an iPhone. Okay, so what are you going to be doing on this iPad that's different from the iPhone? Well, so-and-so has one. So I'm like, oh, okay. So what we told her was, if you really want the iPad that bad, then, save up your money to get it, because it's an iPad is not the price of a phone. So it's a lot more expensive, actually. So the story was that she ended up not getting the iPad because she didn't want to save her money and get it on her own. She wanted mommy and daddy to get it for her.
Was this the same daughter that has her own money?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, from last episode.
Yes. She has all the money, she thinks. So we let her go. So that was like a lesson learned. She's like, well, I'm not going to spend my money for something that I guess she thought that she deserved, or thought that, because her friend got it, the parents were supposed to get it for her. And then, so really she didn't want it. She only wanted it because someone else had it.
And
right.
It's funny because I was actually talking to you about Jimmylee, but the other day about this. Like, it's almost like the fear of missing out.
It goes, anybody who's a sneakerhead out there, my brother Goose always shows me like this website or whatever, and it's like an app, I believe it's an app that literally shows you re-releases of a show. But I know people who literally buy this re-release. They already have the other one, same colors as the previous one, but just because they switched it around, I think they might be signed by some. I don't know. They tweak them some. I know they do tweak them, so it is kind of like a little different.
Yeah.
But just to get it, just to have it, because they think I don't know.
They'll never get that again. They think that
it's the fear of missing out. The whole collecting thing is kind of like a weird,
I guess that goes along with like limited edition type stuff.
Yes, there you go. I guess that basically caps.
That's what these companies try to do. We're like, oh, we're only like producing certain amount
rarity.
of them. Yeah, so people line up, try to get, I got the only one, and then 3 months later they do a re-release, and then it's out in general public, and everyone has them. Yeah. It's like a scam, kind of. Like,
yeah. I know there's some sneakerhead out there. His head's about to explode on us right now.
We're
like,
I fell for that trap. I have those sneakers. I was the dude.
Yeah. Well, the thing about sneakers is, it's a style, right? I mean, it's a fad for some people say, if you're talking Jordans or something like that they never go out of style or whatever it is. Plus, there's this whole competitive component to it, right? It's like, I have the ones that Kobe signed the box off, so now mine are more rare than yours, even though we both spent $500 for his shoe,
just to kind of show off.
That's I mean,
the one-upper.
Yeah, it's the one-upper.
They're not gonna make you run fast. Remember that?
Definitely
Buying
not.
sneakers. My sneakers can run fast. What do you mean?
Yo, and to be honest with you, some of them aren't even that comfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I've heard that multiple times. I remember
Really?
being in high school, someone I knew wanted, I guess they just had released the same thing, pair of Jordans or whatever. And at that time, I think we had team sneakers. But the the Jordans were worn for like a quarter because he took them right off because they're killing his feet, and it was like it was not clearly we're not playing like Jay, but. Yeah, it just, I don't know if it's just like this mental thing. Like, I remember as little kids, we thought it was hilarious. We get new sneakers. Like, oh, these are going to make me run fast. These are going to make me jump higher. But if you have a perfectly good pair of shoes and you go out, and this is not for, the sneakerhead thing. I'm talking about actually using the shoes. If you have a perfectly, like you're on a basketball team, you have a perfectly good pair of shoes, nothing wrong with them, your ankle didn't roll in them, you have no excuse to get rid of them. And then you just go out and buy another pair because you think you need it. Not because it's, some people say, well, some people have it like that and they have the, the luxury to buy it. But I'm saying the fact that you actually think this is going to make you play better. And the reason why you're not dropping 30 is because you don't have this specific shoe. So going on, what do you tell someone who's constantly, and I use this word specifically, envious of others, and constantly striving for something, not that it's better than them, it's just I think they believe it's better. Let's just make up a person. Let's just say, Ray or John, whatever, says John's always going for this unrealistic thing based off of what everyone else has. Not because this is his goals. What would you tell someone that's always going after something just because someone else has it and they think it's better because this person has it?
Be you. Why follow someone else when you know you could be yourself? Like,
yeah.
What is the purpose? What are you trying to chase after this person? Why are you? What is it about this person that you want to be like? Do you think they really have like a better life? So I mean, you would have to ask them, what is the purpose that they're trying to be like this person? Could it be jelly? There might be a little jelly on them.
Well, I say envious, and there's a reason why I said this. I said envious on purpose because it kind of goes back to the point where jealousy is almost like you're jealous because it's something you literally can't have. Envious is you're kind of, you're feeling some type of way, but you can actually have it yourself. So what I would say to someone is, how do you think that this person manifested that life that you want or those things that you want? And think about that. You have within you the ability to attain those same things. We're all built with certain components that activate, the universe to whatever, come together in some, ridiculous, mysterious, form to bring forth that of which we're, wanting. And I just said all that just to say that you yourself can have the life you dream of without being so envious on other people, because sometimes the grass may, probably say 1% may be greener. The problem is we're not putting into account all the components, right? We're looking at someone's life from the outside and making it this grand ordeal, and we don't even know the details of what they're actually going through, what's going on behind closed doors. They might be very good people, very good at masking their emotional state, and they're not presenting, this high-low roller coaster of, man, who in the world would want that? That person's always ticked off. But someone who always has a smile behind their face or is presenting themselves, we don't know all the details. That's why I always think it's so weird that you would want someone else's life.
Yeah, because you don't know what somebody's gone through to get to there. For the fact that whatever they did, they may have worked their tail off to get whatever it is, and that means they deserve what they got.
Right.
And if you're just slacking off or doing whatever, it's like you may not necessarily deserve the same exact thing, or whatever they have may not be actually for you. You just want it because somebody else has the same thing.
Yeah, I read a quote this morning. It said sometimes closed doors is an answer, or is a blessing, however you want to look at it. Sometimes I feel like we want stuff that's not even good for us anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I truly do believe in things happen for a reason, and if I'm under that belief system, right, that things happen for a reason, that there is a greater plan for everything we do and the people that we encounter, why are we wanting or forcing our own will on something that's really not meant for us. It doesn't have our name on it. It's not for us. It's like wanting some other kid's lunchbox because it's Paw Patrol. Going down to my son's level here, and you know he has like a Blue's Clues one, and that's out of style at this year.
Yeah, it's like all like the glitz and glamour. You see like that beautiful thing. You see that, but you really don't know how hard it took that person to get that what you want, or it could have been like a sentimental thing. Someone gave like passed down. Like I know like people that hand down like they have Rolexes, and it was because their dad gave it to them, and it was like a sentimental value. And meanwhile, you got these guys trying to like buy their own and keep up with this dude. He didn't even pay a dime for it. Yeah. He's rocking it like
right.
So you just never know how someone got that to that point, or got that product, got that thing.
Right, or they can got it, in a negative way, like fast money or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's funny you just said that because it just made me think. You're talking about athletes and celebrities, having like all this like jewelry and all this stuff, and here you're telling me one of these guys, one of these famous football players, I think it is, who'd never even bought real jewelry. So if this guy purposely didn't buy real jewelry. It wasn't like he got scammed. Yeah. He didn't see the value in literally buying.
Yeah, he said it from it. No one really got close to me or that close, but it looked, the distance that you were as close to me, it looked the same thing as a real thing. Like so no one's gonna pull that out of like your diamonds out of your ear and like put a magnifying to it, say it's fake or whatever. And he said there was no difference, and no one ever questioned me, and everyone just assumed that it was real.
Well, that goes back to the gold house. From far away, it looks like gold house, but
the little golden house. Yep, it looks good from a distance.
But isn't that crazy? Because even if, let's just put it to the sense where you looked up to this guy, like even just as a role model. You have a role model like that, you make everything so real, and you're just like, man, this guy's genuine. I want to live this authentic life that this guy's living. Here he's doing that just to kind of sell himself, or I don't know the specific reasons. He just he wanted jewelry, but he didn't want to pay full price, or whatever the actual reason was. Because he's saying like, I can get away with the fake, but sometimes you do buy fake knockoff stuff and you just feel cheap. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think we've all been there too.
Because you know yourself personally what the quality of it is.
Yeah.
But I think I was gonna say that what you're talking about, like celebrities and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, kind of feeds into that too. It's like all the people who follow them, like everybody is so much more interconnected now than everywhere in the past like 10, 15 years, that it's so easy, I guess, to gather up this like envious of, celebrities and trying to keep up with that when you're nowhere near anywhere that level of even like monetarily or anything.
I mean, that just opened up a whole nother can of worms. Dude, you understand like social media itself it just opened up a whole nother realm of fake lives and just as made up fantastical, I don't even know what the words you can come up with, lives these people don't live, but they're portraying. Because nowadays people they're just grabbing, stealing each other's photos and stuff, grabbing, saying, I saw one guy who got banned, I believe. Okay, so he was showing like money, like that he had money in his hands. But the next picture was definitely like a different skin color. But, all right, so this isn't you. So he was clearly taking other people's photos. Where in my mind, I'm like, are you trying to now put this view that your grass is that much greener? If life in itself is about, the satisfaction that, what we're getting out of it. And I'm assuming that he gets something out of, impressing people to that extent, right? Everyone does some level or some form of, it just makes you feel good. I got a new car. That's cool. That's fun. But when it gets to a level where you're not even like, literally, that's not your money. you're
just putting up this facade of, trying to portray a certain image of, I got all this money, but it's just fake.
Oh, absolutely. But it's true though, because I actually saw a video, somebody getting called out on their jewelry, but this was coming from a guy who was always showing off or whatever, and one of his, I guess, neighborhood friends walks up to him like, yo, this chain's fake, just grabbing on it, showing there's like a missing diamond on it, it was turning colors on his neck. Dude, you kind of felt bad for the guy or whatever, but at the same time you're like, I don't know what you kind of really expected out of, if you're flaunting fake jewelry or whatever it is, at one point he almost kind of deserved to be, get called out on to a certain extent. I don't know if, I think that should have been something that you did between your boys. I don't think you had to record it, just kind of bust his chops or something.
Yeah, but it's one thing if you're gonna do that and then you're walking around like Mr. T with like 100 like fake gold chains and you're like carrying this big wad of money.
He was
like
it was definitely obnoxious.
It's like your week pay or whatever. Like some people just go beyond like over exaggerate with.
It's just so when someone says the grass is greener, right? We make up this. It is almost like the social media, like on Instagram, where you capture this small segment of life and then we blow it up into this bigger thing that it isn't. There was a picture that cracked me up. This kid, it looked like his hand was like on a steering wheel or whatever. And he said, got my new whip or whatever. And then the second picture is like, nah, I'm just playing with you guys. I'm still on the bus. So when it zoomed out, he was holding on to the seat, the chair in front of him, but it actually looked like a steering wheel.
Oh, wow.
Dude, the best part was he sent out the original, that picture with everything else cut off. People were like congratulating him. What did you get? Because if you actually look close at this, it's clearly not a steering wheel. But the image and the caption put together, it sold it, and you're like, wow, that's awesome. This guy, because it's clearly like some like funky design, like on the couch part, or like on the the seat part of the bench, but and then there's this rounded handle where you hold on to if you're seated behind.
It's like they say, like a picture says it has a million words. Like, whatever you see, you can say whatever it is, whatever you view it is.
Right,
it could be anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just saw a commercial the other day on TV. It was this car pulls up in his driveway, and it's like this beautiful house in front of him. I'm like, oh, look, you got this really nice looking house, and the car is nice going. Next thing you know, the people pull up, and they pick up the house and throw the house in their trunk. So it looked like they pulled up to like this amazing looking house, but it was like a whole gimmick to sell. I don't know. I can't even recall what they were trying to sell, but it was just like they posted it. Like it looked really good how they did that.
It's, perspective. It gives you perspective. I saw that before with like a car. Where you thought the car was like, whoa, check out this like Mustang or whatever it was. It was like a hot rod. And you're like, man, that's awesome. This dude got it. And all of a sudden you see the camera zoom out and he picks up with his two little fingers and picks it up and is like,
It's a little Matchbox car, yeah.
Right. It's perspective. So I guess part of the grass is greener thing is how people, you got to be careful on who you're watching, who you look up to, because sometimes they're portraying a fake green grass, so to speak, and you're getting caught up in that. You're being sold by this facade, right? And I just think that's the main reason why we should live our own life. That's not to say you can't look up to somebody. That's having something just because someone else has it. Not to say that, okay, well, that's also the same car you wanted. But that person shouldn't be the reason why you're getting a car is what I'm trying to say. You should be able to build up your own reasons as to why you're developing this life as, or defining success however you want it, not based off of, my brother got that car, so now I got to get that car.
Yeah, that's how you divide like a leader and a follower.
Exactly.
I mean, we have like us growing up, we have like I know I personally did. Like if one of my brothers had a cologne and I needed one, I wasn't gonna go buy the same one they had. I had to buy something totally different that they'd never had. Like we don't want to all have the same stuff. Like obviously, whatever, we're all in the same house. But like it was just with anything. Like if he had a pair of sneakers, I don't want them same ones or them same color. Like I want something totally different. And even though that me and Heck were 18 months apart, growing up, mom matched us with everything.
Same color tube size.
They made us like look like twins.
But dude, I mean that just goes into staying in your own lane, right? Like, dude, there's so much to do and accomplish in life. Why? There's a reason why we all have, and I'm not to be all cliche and sound cheesy or whatever, why we all have different fingerprints and whatever, but you truly are, you're an individual. You should live life that way. You're unique in your own, you have different talents and abilities than anyone else has. Your only job really is to mine out all those talents as much as possible, polish them, become better every single day. Really shine in your own ability and then within your own lane, so to speak, within your own realm is really what I'm trying to say. I guess that the outgoing message here is the grass could be greener. Here's the thing. Who cares, right? It's not your life. Congratulate that person. Be excited for that person. Compliment that person. Encourage that person. Be inspired. Don't be envious. Get motivated. Don't be jealous.
If their grass is greener, ask them how they got their grass so green and try to
ask for tips.
Try to replicate.
Exactly. There's no reason to want specifically and exactly what that person has. There's just no reason when you can manifest and have the stuff yourself.
Exactly.
All right. With that being said, I'm going to leave you guys with this quote to kind of wrap up this episode. This quote's by Robert Collier. Start where you are. Distant fields always look greener, but opportunity lies right where you are. Take advantage of every opportunity of service. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.